Hello and welcome to today's video titled Evil in Fiction, Robert Oppenheimer from Fields of Joy. The question is, what is Fields of Joy? And here is the answer. This is a novel I am writing, level 7 disturbing novel, which discusses the afterlife experiences of its main character, a Polish-American man who dies following an attempt to save his sister's life, which succeeds and ends up in hell. Not for committing murder, not for listening to rap, not for wearing the wrong shirt or believing the wrong religion, but for paying taxes to the US federal government. That's right, somebody finally decided to send someone to hell for paying taxes to Uncle Sam. Other than that, the protagonist meets Albert Einstein, Robert Oppenheimer, Hadid, the architect, Zaha Hadid, I think that's her name, Isaac Newton, Wittgenstein, George Orwell, William S. Burroughs, and several other interesting figures, including two demons whose names are Methuselah and Stockhausen. He also meets a succubus whose name is Aria. She is very tall enough to squash me. He also meets a demon which has an elephant seal's head. That's right, it's a dark fantasy character with an elephant seal's head. You know, elephant seals, those big seals that you see on Attenborough's documentaries. So the story itself is not about sending everybody to hell who simply pays taxes, but about the consequences of what happens when you pay taxes to people who simply do not care for you. So, in the novel, paying money to your enemies is treated as a very high-nose offense, but in the societies that the main character meets in the afterlife, not in the real world, so I'm not trying to accuse any government of doing anything wrong by collecting taxes from people. The story itself, however, is so disturbing that once you stop reading it, you're going to start paying a very close attention to what's happening around you. Because these are people who have a hard time, not with authority, with the sky. Ladies and gentlemen, there is these creatures in Fields of Joy which cover the sky. The sky is covered with huge, enormous entities, and no one knows where they came from. They just float around there like gigantic blobs, floaters or something. And Albert Einstein suggests trying to make a balloon to climb up above one of them, and that experiment is accepted, and they realize that they can actually see the horizon, but the creature itself is huge, and no one knows what it's doing. There is a huge-ass creature of some sort, you know, it's just huge. And it's so large that you don't know where the head begins, you don't know where its ass ends. And that's it, you don't know where it begins, you don't know where it ends. My sincere apologies for my language here. Now, there are a lot of serious topics discussed in this story, notably Oppenheimer's behavior, which consists of things like shape-shifting into an 18-year-old teen in order to just be like a teen, in order to try to look more innocent. That does not work in this kind of hell. There is fog a lot of times, and when the fog recedes, they see these creatures in the sky, And it is not until the protagonist suggests trying to escape this reality that they begin to realize that that's how they will be able to resolve that sky creature situation. So they find out that they have to escape this reality, and then they need to discover another place known as Parasite Gate. Parasite Gate is going to be a very common topic in the nearest future. People are not going to want to live like parasites anymore after they have heard about this story. It's a bit similar to like what dreams may come did when people begin to question, ask questions like, what will hell be like for the possessed person? And this movie is one of the best movies of all time. In the fields of joy, the question is asked, what's hell for a psychopath? And you're going to realize that some of the most famous and most beloved scientists of all time, including Oppenheimer, were actually psychopaths. And I'm not saying that Einstein was one of those, but he often takes accountability for his actions. He apologizes, puts himself into other people's shoes, and is ready to accept blame whenever situations force him to do so, and even when he is not asked to, when he is still barefoot in this place. So far, Newton and Einstein have made their way to heaven, and there was also a short moment featuring Hegel where Hegel helped them to he helped the protagonist and his friends to find their way to some other place. But there is one important thing that you should know, and that's the snooker games. This novel is largely about snooker. I think I probably have something for snooker, but have not played it most of the time in my life. But in the novel, you can play snooker and win. If you win, you can choose if you want to be born again. If you lose, you stay in hell for a while until you find someone willing to play with you. And if you win this person, you can make your choice. And so Oppenheimer wins in a snooker game with none other than Howard Phillips Lovecraft. He has a very tough time, Oppenheimer has a very tough time with Ludwig Wittgenstein, who does not want him to be announced himself. George Orwell is depicted as an extremely grounded, well-meaning character, one who is writing a new novel in his book on an intersection or an airport which Hadid built. Zaha Hadid, I think that's her name. She built this, and she wanted it to look like Reykjavik Airport. So here you have it, Fields of Joy, an example of level 7 disturbing literature. Another example of level 7 disturbing literature I would like to mention is a genuinely disturbing book known as Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. You guys should be familiar with this one. This is one of the best level 7 disturbing books ever written. That's it for now.